Hello and welcome to Aimless Podcasts Golden Crosshairs 2012 Host Picks. I'm RPG Maniac 05 and this time I will be discussing my pick for Game of the Year for 2012. This honor goes to Zero's Escape Virtue's Last Reward for the 3DS and Vita. It was released last year in October, I think, and it's the adventure puzzle interactive novel horror follow-up to 999, which was released for the DS. This game takes place sometime after that game, and it stars a new cast of characters and new story, but still within the game's mythology. So you take control of Sigma, who wakes up inside of a old elevator with no memory of how he got there or why he's there, but just knowing that he was knocked out and he is not happy with his current situation. He wakes up in the elevator with a woman named Phi, who explains to him that she had a similar incident and she's also there against her will, and they, over the course of their short little interaction together, they find out that they're taking place in a new nonary game and that they have to escape this place that they're in or they'll die. So this time around, each character is given a bracelet which has two chemicals in it, which when injected will kill them, and they can be activated either by the characters breaking the rule in some way, or if they lose their bracelet points, which plays into the game's Nonary Games Ambidex edition, because now this one involves the teams voting. So after Phi and Sigma get out of their elevator, they come across the rest of the cast, which is a group of people who share their whole, well, we don't know how we got here, but we have to figure a way to get the hell up out of here. And this is where they learn from Zero the Third about their situation and how if they don't cooperate, they may not make it out alive. So the game is pretty much telling of their struggles with the nonary game, and kind of plays on each of the characters' trust issues and kind of have them delving into their backstories as you go throughout the game to try to figure out why you're participating in this nonary game and how you can get out of it and why are you there in the first place. So the game mostly plays out as an interactive novel in a sense, where you'll be doing quite a bit of reading, but it'll be learning more about the game, learning more about the characters and things of that nature. And throughout the game you have puzzle rooms which have the characters breaking up into teams in order to solve different puzzles and gain access to the voting booths for later voting. And there's several different rooms which you'll get through during different playthroughs, because you can't go through all of them at once. So that actually plays into the game's mythology as well, which I'll get to a little bit later. But here you get the cards, and once you gain access to the voting booths, you have the option to ally or betray with a teammate that you went through the rooms with. And this is where the game's bracelet points come in, because if both teams choose to ally with each other, then they both get 2 bracelet points. If they both choose to betray each other, they get no bracelet points. And if one person allies and one person betrays, whoever betrayed the person gets 3 bracelet points, while the other person loses 2 bracelet points. And this becomes important because in order to leave the warehouse that they're in to open the number 9 door, they have to have 9 or more bracelet points, and if anybody's bracelet points drop below 0, then their bracelet will activate and inject them with the poison, which will kill them. So once the characters find this out, this leads to this whole issue of, now who do you trust, how do you vote whenever you go into the Ambidex booth, and whether you should just ally or betray. And the game kind of explores different phenomena like the prisoner's dilemma and the Chinese room, and a bunch of different types of philosophies and things that play into the game's overall mythology about morphogenic fields and trust and everything. So I think it's a pretty cool it's a pretty cool kind of integration into your story to have like real world theories and philosophies kind of integrated into the game while still adding that supernatural element from the game's own mythology and playing around with the espers and things of that nature. So it gives you like those twists and turns and things that you weren't expecting, and even if you're familiar with some of the theories, it's kind of like an added bonus, because then you're like, oh, I kind of know what this is. So I kind of like that they added that there. So it's really a cool little feature for story purposes. Also, the puzzle rooms are nice little, some of them are a nice little callback to the previous game, and a lot of them are environmental puzzles and allow you to solve things, and throughout these puzzles you can actually talk to the characters and learn more about their backstories, and try to figure out why you're there. And the puzzle rooms are actually, they provide some challenges to the player, and they're not just, oh, let me just walk in here and solve this puzzle real quick. You actually have to look around, think a little bit about what you've the options you have before you, and sometimes there are clues throughout the room that kind of give you an idea of what you're supposed to be doing to solve them. So it's not like it's impossible to figure out on your own, but at the same time it gives you that challenge to think, so you can, you know, kind of feel that accomplishment of, you know, solving a puzzle. So that's another aspect of the game I enjoy. Also, another thing that I liked about the game is the cast of characters. Like the previous game, before it, they introduced the entire cast isn't completely new, because a couple of the characters from the previous game do return, but for different reasons this time around, and you'll learn about that throughout the story. And each of them has their own personality and their own personal quirks and backstories, which adds to the mystery of the game as you go through each of the playthroughs to try to figure out, well, why is this person here, or what's going on with this guy. And each of them are likable for their own reasons, and it's not particularly easy for a game to introduce a pretty decently sized cast and still able to, you know, flesh them out and, you know, make each character interesting. And, you know, because it's oftentimes you'll get some people into a cast and you'll just be like, you know, I don't really care about this person or what's going on with this person, and sometimes people end up picking their favorites. But luckily, in a game like this where it's very heavily story driven, you get a chance to learn a lot about each of the characters, and each of them have their own interesting twists and turns in their own personal backstories, in addition to how they play in the game. So it's also a lot of fun to learn more about them and where they're coming from and their feelings about the whole situation and everything. And it's a lot of fun for seeing them react to each other and how they're voting in the game and everything. So it's great to have a good cast of characters and a nice story to kind of root them all in and trying to see how they all connect throughout the game. One thing is that I also like that they brought back is they still continue with the game's previous mythology, which unfortunately for spoiler reasons I can't really go into huge detail about, but it kind of, like the last game, the mythology also plays into the game mechanics of this game as well, which you learn about later on in the story, and allows you to do some kind of interesting stuff with the gameplay as well here, because it plays into the game's mythology, which is really cool. And I kind of like that they did that with the first game, and I'm glad they brought it back for this game. So it's cool that they did that. And so overall, the presentation is also new. They've added character models this time around, so you have the 3D character models. In the previous game, and they were just the 2D sprite models, and you didn't really get to see the characters that much. But this time around, they have the characters doing different things, and they have like little short movie clips in a way for you to, you know, show off some things that are going on throughout the story. So it's a cool little addition as well. And the character designs are just as crazy as you would imagine for a game like this, and you get to see the detail that went into each of the characters, and they're all unique, and the presentation is pretty cool, which is great because since most of the game takes place in this one warehouse, you're kind of expecting like, oh, okay, everything's gonna look the same, it's just gonna be boring and drab, but it's not the case, because each of the puzzle rooms has its own cool little level design, and different backdrops and different props and things inside there, and you get to explore each of them with different characters and different parties as you go through, and learning more about the story and learning more about the nonary game. And it adds that another layer of depth to the game as well. So it's not just, you know, the same thing over and over again, which is great because you're going to have to play through this game multiple times in order to get everything, since the game, it does have 24 different endings this time around as opposed to the 6 I think the first one had. So you're probably gonna be playing this game over and over a lot, so it's good that they were able to, you know, make the characters interesting and make sure things are different every time you play it over. So it's not just, okay, let me just skip through this and hopefully get to the part where I need to make a different decision. So each time you play through, there's different scenarios to see, different puzzles to play through, and different characters to talk to and interact with, and it's a lot of fun to have them play around with that aspect of the game as well. So it's nice to see the different level designs and the different characters and all the thought put into, you know, these different scenarios that each of them have to play through, and the different ways they integrated the theories and all these things into the game. So it's really cool, and the game has a interesting soundtrack. The music is mostly like, it's kind of like some dramatic, some techno kind of pop music going on, and it all depends on the scenarios and stuff, and it kind of, you know, sets the mood for the things that are going on as well. So overall, it was definitely one of my favorite games of last year, and I'm really fond of great stories and games, and, you know, an interesting cast of characters, and this game definitely provided that, and it also added its challenging puzzles and all kinds of, you know, little things that you can notice, little details that were put into the game for the players, and it's like you can tell that a good amount of care was taken when they made the sequel. So it wasn't just a quick cash in, it was something that they actually put thought into, and, you know, kind of put little shout outs for fans of the series, people who've played the previous games, and it's great. So it was my favorite game of 2012, and it would be great if everybody went out there and played it. Definitely anybody who's interested in puzzle adventure games, it's definitely a great buy for you. People who love interesting stories and characters, it's a great game for you to have as well. So just I enjoyed it, and that's why I got my choice for Game of the Year. And that's it for the Golden Crosshairs 2012 host pick. I'm RPG Maniac 05, and be sure to join us at aimlesspodcast.com when we do our big Golden Crosshairs award event. So this is RPG Maniac 05 signing out.